Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Breaking Through the Wall, a podcast presented by SERVPRO Team Wall. We are back with our 10th episode of the pod, and we are thrilled to be joined by an absolute legend in the hockey world. Our guest today was a center who played on the ice for many years in both the NHL and AHL, amongst other leagues. After his playing career concluded, this man went on to have a decorated NHL coaching career, amassing 617 wins, spending time with the Washington Capitals, Anaheim Mighty Ducks, Minnesota Wild, and Vancouver Canucks. You can now find our guest spending time around the ice and being featured on the NHL Network, showcasing his vast hockey knowledge. Everyone, I'm very excited about this. Please welcome our guest today, Bruce Boudreau. Bruce, how we doing?
Hey, I'm good, Brandon. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Well, we're glad you made some time with us. Very excited to have you. We haven't had anyone from the hockey space, so it's very exciting to have you join us today. Let's just jump into it. A big thing with our podcast, with Breaking Through the Wall, we like to talk about people that have been successful in their field. So, of course, you with hockey. But one of the things we love to talk about is really like where it all began, where your love and passion came for the thing that you are successful at now in your career. So when we talk about hockey for you, did you grow up in a hockey family? I know you grew up in Canada. Did you grow up, your parents were into it, or how did it get started?
Well, you know what? I'm the oldest of three children, and when you're Canadian, I mean, there's not a lot we're noted for. But one thing is that they all play hockey up there. So I mean, I started at 5 years old, like everybody else. My dad would build a rink in the wintertime in the backyard and just start skating and playing, and some of us either you love it or you fall out of love with it. My love never stopped, and so I mean, it was just a continuation of getting bigger and older, and ending up playing in the leagues that eventually get you to the NHL. And I knew the one thing, that eventually your hockey career, your playing career ends. And I had no idea what I wanted to do, other than I'd only thought hockey my whole life. So the only thing that seemed to come into that after that was coaching hockey. And so, I mean, that was, I started a hockey school in 1981 that's still going today. And so that was the summer job all the time. And then when I quit playing, I was lucky enough that I didn't have any downtime. Like a lot of times people sit there and they go, okay, what am I going to do now? Where's my career path taken? What was I good at? Anything in school? Can I go back to that? When you're in your, like I quit at 39, 38, and but it always came back to hockey. So I was lucky enough to jump from playing into coaching right away without any missteps. So it's and I've been doing that ever since. And since the last year and a half, which I haven't been coaching, I've been doing an awful lot of the TV stuff and the radio work, and keeping your hand in it, and trying to stay as busy about hockey as much as you can. So it seems to be the only thing I seem to know, but I've had fun doing it.
That's awesome. Well, no, it's really cool to hear that. So you are truly a hockey lifer. That has been your career, the entire adult life, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think the only other job I had, I got fired in one day. So it's hockey lifer is basically it. And that other job was planting trees, and I was 16, and I was just no good at it. So I mean, so I figured it was this or bust.
Yeah, I like it. Well, let's talk about your playing days. So I know you went through a lot of the junior league stuff, correct? Before,
Yeah.
and
Mm-hmm.
kind of looked at your career and all that. What was that process like? And just kind of, I guess, believing in yourself and just continuing to work, and before you kind of get that first call up with Toronto, how's that? What that look
Well,
like?
you know what? Everything just morphed into the getting older and playing in an up. Then you get to another league. You play from your U16s to your U18s to junior hockey to getting drafted to the NHL, that's how it was. I mean, I was really lucky. I think, and when I say that, I mean growing up, everything was easy. I mean. Which is not the case. I mean, and it ended up costing me, like, I mean, won everything every year, never seemed to lose. It came easy. Won 2 Canadian junior championships when I got to junior age. Won the junior B championship. And then all of a sudden, when you get to the NHL, you realize that we're talking at a different level, and you have to work a little harder. I wasn't used to it, so I didn't know how to work properly when I was young because everything had come so easy, and uh, so it ended up costing me. I mean, I played a lot in the minors, a little bit in the NHL, and I wish if I had been able to go back and do it again, I would have, obviously trained a little harder and worked a little harder at my craft to stay there all the time. But I didn't learn that till I was about 28, and at 28, instead of becoming a prospect, you become a suspect, and but the love of the game kept going, where I ended up playing till I was 38. So it all works out in the end. But I wish I had a better work ethic when I was younger.
Right. No, I mean that totally makes sense. But yeah, long career. I mean, I just turned 37, so the fact that you were still getting after it is that's awesome at that age. Do you remember like specifically like your first when you first got caught up, like your first game?
Yeah, I remember it was against the Philadelphia Flyers. It was in Toronto. My dad picked me up at the airport, drove me right there. We won the game. I got an assist. Thought this was going to be all rainbows and lollipops, and this is easy. And uh,
Yep.
found out it wasn't as easy as I thought it would be.
Yeah, sure. What was that moment like? I guess like obviously your dad, all that, spending time with him, like to be able to be there that day.
For him and my mom to be at the game, obviously was very special. I mean, anytime your parents can, and my dad never made it as a hockey player, but he played. I mean, that's where I
Yep.
got it from. Uh, he was born in Montreal, where the same thing happens, and but he was a hockey fan through and through, and so when you get the opportunity to have them watching you in the stands for the first time at that level was pretty exciting. It'll be a memory I'll always have.
That's awesome. No, I think that's so cool. And I think it's like we've had a lot of people on that have played different sports, and it's always cool to hear the relationship with parents and just seeing that like through because I mean I have three kids and they all play sports, and it's such a cool thing to see your kids be successful and
But
do more than you. So
well,
it's awesome.
you don't realize it until you get older on how big a part they were. Like I mean, uh, talking about like driving you to every practice, driving you to every game, sacrificing this that parents do for their children. Like when you especially when you don't have a lot of money. Uh, and again, it's one of those things. Until you almost become a parent, you don't realize how much they do for you, but they were everything. So you owe everything to your parents, I think.
Absolutely. No, that's awesome. I totally agree 100%. And I know you touched on it a little bit earlier, just kind of transitioning from a player to a coach. What was your first role when you left your playing career? I remember reading a little bit about, was it the AHL or did you go to ECHL at that point or where did you first start there?
Well, as a player, it was the AHL or the IHL
Okay.
at that point. But I was still at 38. I mean, I think I'd gotten 87 points that year and led the team in playoff scoring, and I still wanted to play.
Hmm.
But the one thing about sports is when you get older, it gets cruel. Like, I mean, um, if you have one bad year when you're in the minor leagues and you're older, that's your last year. So, I mean, I think I'd gone on maybe 9 1-year deals in a row. And after that year, I got in 93, got offered a coaching job and they give you a 3-year deal. Well, goodness gracious, that seemed like an eternity
Yeah.
uh, for me. So uh, like, I didn't want to quit playing, but to uh, get that stability for 3 years, I knew I wanted to coach. You never know if you're going to get the opportunity, so I took it then, and it was it was at a lower level, but it was in Muskegon, Michigan. But I mean, it was a great learning point for me, and I mean, I really was glad that I was able to do it.
Yeah, what a cool opportunity to jump in. So you get into the coaching ranks, you start to do that. Obviously, I assume you really enjoy it, even from the
Oh,
get go, right?
yeah.
And then you kind of work your way up, you get into the AHL. And then I do want to talk specifically just because of where we're kind of located. It makes sense for Team Wall to talk a little bit about when you get to the Hershey Bears and like what did that look like when you first arrive? with the Bears and the organization there.
Well, it's funny because I was coming from Manchester, New Hampshire,
Mhm.
and I'd been there for 5 years and got let go in, I'd say, middle of June um, of that year. And uh, Doug Yingst, who I knew at that point, but I didn't really know. I knew Bruce Landon in Springfield, and I talked to both of them, and they thought it would be a good chance to get an interview with the Washington Capitals. And so I interviewed with them and I got the job. I was lucky enough that I had people in my corner and got the job in Hershey. And it was, well, it was the best thing that ever happened to me. We won the championship that year. And I mean, I'm calling you right now from my home, still in Hershey, and that was 2006. So I mean, that was 20 years ago, and you make relationships, and it's such a great small town, and that you make great relationships. And we decided that this was going to be our forever house, and here we are. We're today. I mean, I do a lot of work, but I travel from here. But this is the place we come back to all the time, and this is the place we always came back to. No matter if I went to Washington, come here in the summer, Anaheim, come back in the summer, Minnesota, come back, and Vancouver would come back. So. Central PA is a pretty special part of the world for me, and I'm, pretty blessed to be here.
Yeah, no, it's awesome to hear. It's cool how you can find something like that, at any point in life and find something that becomes, home for good for you. So that's awesome. So I did want to touch on, so obviously you had a ton of success in Hershey and with the Bears, and obviously you do a great job with that. You get moved up to interim coach of the Capitals in 2007. And you get promoted pretty quickly to, their actual coach. What was that like at the time? I mean, I remember it because I was living in Maryland, and I'm a big DC sports fan, so I am a Caps fan as well. And like I remember that moment, when you get pulled up, and then it's I guess it was like late December, I think, when they make you the full time head coach. What was that kind of moment like, and getting into the NHL and becoming a coach like that, and then
Well,
yeah,
I was 53 years old, so I mean, which is pretty late, I think. But
yep,
uh, I remember getting the call from Doug Yingst at 6:30 in the morning, and he just said, "Hey, Bruce, George McPhee is going to call you, so I just wanted to make sure you're up." And I said, "Well, awesome. Okay, what about?" And he said, "He'll call you." And so he phoned me, and me and my wife and my young son we were jumping on our bed. He wanted me in Washington like that for practice that day. So I mean, I was like my head was just so spinning. I forgot how to get to Washington. I was phoning John Walton. Hey, where do I go here? Like, what's going on? And but it was one of those moments that the whole way seemed like it took forever, but at the same time it felt like 1 second. And I got into there, and George said, "Hey, this is your team," which is what they all say, and
yep.
coach it the way you want. So I changed everything in one day and went about it. And fortunately for us, we had some success right off the bat, and they decided to keep me around.
Yeah. Did you know when when they kind of bring you in November and you talk to the team there in the organization, did you feel like you had a really good chance to become the, full-time coach and, to remove the interim tag, or was that discussed, or you just went in there and tried to do your best?
Well, you know what? It's funny because again, going back to the 1 year, and when you're in the minors, you're not making a boatload of money type thing. So I, I do remember asking George within the first 2 days, "Hey, listen, if this uh, doesn't work out, or you send me back, is my contract still good in Hershey?" Because I had just signed a 4-year deal there,
Okay.
and he said, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." So I was didn't think it would last, but wanted it to last, and um, so uh, but I mean, when you kept winning, and then you get the full time job, and it worked out pretty good. In especially the first year, I won the Jack Adams as Coach of the Year in the NHL
Yep.
for what we did. Went from last to first, and it was a pretty successful year, and I was pretty pumped up about it. But boy, it's a daily grind, I'll tell you, but I wouldn't change it for anything.
Yeah, no, and what an accomplishment. How cool is that to jump into the league? Like you said, even at a little bit older age than sure some other coaches, and then but you get awarded with that. How cool is that? Well, I do want to ask because I always think it's cool. So I coach high school basketball down here in Florida, and so not the same as coaching in the NHL by any means, but I get the coaching, and it's every day. I'm there, with the kids each day and working and philosophy stuff and changing things to opponents. Did your philosophy change as a coach when you were at the Bears and moved to the Caps, just because of personalities, and obviously there's egos and stars? And did anything change the way that you, even from philosophy, but also the way you talk to players, or did all that, you just stayed to your core values and kept it moving? Or just always curious from a coaching perspective?
Yeah, you know what? I don't think the one thing about me, if you ever knew me, is that I don't change. I'm the same person everywhere, um, and I treated the people the same in the minors as I did in the NHL. The great thing about going to Washington, I had 7 players on that team that I had coached the year before in a championship. So I mean, the relationships were already built, and I mean, when you play 18 years in pro hockey, you sort of, like you talk about with your friends or with your colleagues of what you would be like if you were a coach, and I knew what I wanted to be. So I mean, what you do learn is most of all is that sometimes you have to treat at the NHL level some players a little bit differently that you would in the minors. And the minors you're all sort of cooped together. Okay. In the NHL, there can be a guy that makes, you know, $11 million a year. I mean, you have to treat that guy a little bit different, but at the same time, the same. If in the team concept of everything, but you have to acknowledge the fact that treating Alex Ovechkin is a little different than treating a Dave Steckel, a guy that would get called up type thing. So, I mean, those are the things that I learned and got to be pretty good at juggling those relationship type problems right there.
Thanks so much for watching Breaking Through the Wall, a podcast sponsored by SERVPRO Team Wall. Of course, SERVPRO Team Wall is available to help 24/7 with all of your restoration needs. So whether it be water, fire, mold, cleaning, or full construction services, SERVPRO Team Wall is there to help you. So give us a call if you need us. But for now, let's get back to the podcast. And you just brought up, obviously, Alex Ovechkin. I did want to at least ask, what was kind of the experience coaching, obviously, one of the all-time greats, and, what's your relationship with him now? And
No, yeah, it was great. I mean, I think that the best thing that I learned is treated him uh, not like disrespect him, but I treated him with the respect that he deserved. In other words, I gave him shit more than probably any player on the team. But at the same time, I would always bring him in, tell him what I was going to do. I'm going to show him video and show the team video of you making a mistake, feeling
yeah.
if you don't go after the top guy, then the bottom guys won't respect you. So, but I gave him the respect that I was coming after him and let him know first. I never surprised him with anything silly, so like, whereas he would go, "Oh, what's going on?" and feel embarrassed. I never wanted to embarrass Alex ever, and I don't think I did. So those are the big things. Mhm.
Yeah, that makes total sense. Accountability. And if you can go after him, it's like everyone can be accountable for their own mistakes. And just,
100%, yeah.
and one last question on him, obviously, just outside of just natural talent and raw ability, what was the one thing that you could attribute to him just being a great player that he would do that maybe people don't know about?
Well, he was extremely tough. He never got hurt, and B, his body. He was physically stronger than almost everybody, and you add those two elements with the hockey IQ that he had, and the determination. Like, you can be great. Everybody sees a lot of talented athletes, but I mean, the determination and the want and the will to be the best was always in Alex. And I mean, I think I got along really good with him, and thought it was a great, still is a great relationship. But I mean, those are the things I think I brought to the table with him, is showing the respect and understanding what it was like to be a star.
Right, exactly. No, very cool to hear. I appreciate you sharing that. And talking Caps, obviously, and that's central with location for where we're based out of. And when you think about your years that you spent with the Capitals, what do you kind of when you reflect back, like what do you think of? And is there any really most memorable moment? Is it winning the Jack Adams, or is it that first year?
No, yeah. No, it wasn't anything personal. I think uh, when I think of my 4.5 years with Washington, it was lost opportunities. I mean, I think we were the best team in 3 of those years, and we didn't win the cup. I mean, the disappointment of losing to Montreal in 2010 was, it still irks me to this day. We had the best team. I think there was a couple Stanley Cups that we could have had in there. We lost to Pittsburgh the year before in 7 games. They went on to win the cup, and I think if we had won uh, that series, we would have won the cup. I think if we had beaten Montreal, gotten through that one, and where we lost, we would have won the cup. So it was lost opportunities there. But I mean, it's certainly if I didn't get a chance with Washington, I don't think I would have got a chance anywhere else. So I was very blessed. George McPhee to this day is one of those guys that I always will admire, and every chance I get a chance to talk to him or see him, I take that advantage of that. And like I'm still employed by the Capitals again today. I mean, doing some stuff, not a lot, but the pre and post games and on their games and stuff like that. So, and the fact that I still live in this area and love the Washington area. That's a main thing. So I mean, those are what I remember. Then you meet the great people that you've always met, and I thought if there was an accomplishment that I really liked was when I went there, the crowds were about 7,000 a game. By the time I left, the Rocking the Red was in full
Yeah.
bloom, and they're averaging 18,000 people a game, and they are to this day. So if I had a quarter 1% of helping grow hockey a little bit in the DC area, that makes me pretty happy.
Well, I can tell you that you certainly did. So, and I know not just myself, but I have a lot of friends that are huge Caps fans and huge hockey fans, and feel like whenever it's talked about and what you did there and kind of changed what that looked like, I think a lot of people think very highly of you in that regard.
Much
What you did there.
appreciated. Much appreciated.
So, and I just remembered, I mean, like I graduated high school in 2006, and I mean, it's just funny, like when you came in there, like I vividly remember this switch of that and what the arena looked like, and prior to that, from going to games and just going to Wizards and Capitals games and just kind of seeing the switch, at that time for the Caps. So that's really cool to see. So we appreciate you, Bruce, in the
Well, thank you.
East area. So that's awesome. I did want to ask. Obviously, you went on. You coached obviously with three other teams as well after the Capitals. Is there something that you had a lot of success in all the places you went, of course, but is there a coach that you played for that you learned from that you kind of, you know, took bits and pieces from that you think you kind of molded your coaching style after, or was it just maybe grabbing different things from someone, or is there someone in particular, that you played
Well, it's a great question, and ever since I knew I wanted to coach, I think the one thing you can take you can take something from everybody, and I think that's important. I mean, didn't no complete one guy that I wanted to sit there and say I want to be like him. But my junior coach, George Armstrong, I wanted the players to want to play for. We wanted to play for him so badly. Like we were upset when we lost for him, and I wanted the players to have that feeling for me. Roger Nielsen, he knew the game inside and out. I wanted to be statistically as sound as him. I mean, even guys that I didn't like and I hated as coaches were, but I found one thing about them. Larry Kish was so organized. I wanted to be like that, and um, and and other coaches. But I tried to take something from everybody, and then you add your own personality into the mix, and then voila, out comes whatever comes out. But I think those are the things that I didn't grow up saying I want to be like Vince Lombardi and be a real heavy set disciplinarian type of guy. I had to be able to even to this day, the times have changed so much since I first started coaching in 93 to the times now. You have to treat the players I've found differently. as you go up, and you better stay in tune with younger players and how and communication, which was always the most important thing at any level, at any sport. If you're not communicating well, you're not getting anywhere. And I always thought that was the most important thing that I had to look at.
Right. No, very, very cool to hear. And a little follow up question to that. And I think kind of how the game has changed and talking, of course. And obviously, as money and TV contracts and all these things start to play a factor with really all the professional sporting leagues, I did want to ask, like, when you're a coach of obviously an NHL organization and you have players and you're figuring out rotations and you're figuring out who's coming on and off, obviously, with different line changes, from a playing time perspective, do you, like, as a coach, have full authority on that, or is that discussed with the general manager or other people's in the organization? I'm always curious with that in all
Yeah.
sports.
At the NHL level, I was in charge of all of that. I mean, I played who I thought I needed to play to win, because in the end, everybody just wants to win. Okay. But when you're in the minors and when you're coaching and it's a development situation, I would sometimes get sent down. Um, uh, okay, we need to play this guy this many minutes, this guy many minutes, this guy this many minutes. Even if they, that sometimes became a problem. It never happened. George never did it to me in Hershey, but the LA Kings, I remember that the assistant GM would send me down that these guys had to play. And the problem with that is if they don't warrant it, and you still have to play them, the other players look at you like you got two heads and they don't work as hard for you. But with George said, I don't care if the guy is a first round pick or a 10th round pick, whoever's the best player you play. And I think that's the best way to develop them, because sometimes first round picks think that they've got the golden ticket. And if you treat them that way, they will never get better. And so, I mean, that was the best, the biggest thing I'd learned with the Washington Capitals that was great. That was a good thing. But I guess in Anaheim at the beginning of the season, the GM wanted to see some players more than other players. But in the end, once it became game time, I was all about just winning. And I could tell if you were playing well, you would get to play more. If you weren't playing well, you weren't playing. And I just said the hell with it. If you're going to give me shit, give me shit. But that's what I'm doing.
No, I mean, I absolutely love that. I think, right, you got to earn your playing time, and that's cool to hear from the George McPhee side that he would give you kind of, let's just go win and figure out who's
Yeah.
gonna contribute
Well,
to that and be the
pe-
best on the
people
ice.
forget in the minor leagues that and I bring this up all the time, they say, well, we got to develop players. You know what you got to develop? You got to develop players how to win. And that's important. I mean, sure, you want to make them better skaters, better puck handlers, better or this, better that. But I mean, you want to make them tough enough to want to win every game and show them what winning is all about and how to win. And I think that's developing a mindset that when they go to the NHL, they become better players and harder to play against. So that was important to me.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, one thing. So you talked a little bit more minor leagues, and we've had some people on our podcast that have kind of worked through minor league baseball. We've had a guy that played overseas in basketball and played in the NBA, and just we've heard a lot of different crazy stories. Do you have any kind of wild stories from your time just in the minor leagues with hockey, whether it be playing or coaching or just anything that sticks out? I'm sure there's a lot,
There's a
but
lot. I don't know if I can say any of
yeah,
them here. I mean, the minors is a different animal sometimes. There's a little more. Uh, the players hang around on the bus an awful lot. They're together a lot more in the minors than they are in the NHL. They party a lot more together because they usually all live in the same sort of apartment complex or something. And the NHL, it becomes a business for the players a little bit. And they're older, so they have families and stuff. But I mean, the minors is, you ask any player if they take the travel and the luxury stuff away, they had more fun just out with the guys doing that kind of stuff, getting in trouble with your teammates, which happened a lot with me. So I mean, those were the good fun times that and it's funny, you can meet up with a teammate every 10 years and you go right back to where you started, and you become best of friends.
yeah, no, that's cool, and I think that's just with a lot of team sports. It's
Yeah.
funny how it works, and that camaraderie doesn't really leave, and it's cool to hear that. So, That's awesome. Well, we're getting towards the end here, so but I do want to we'll kind of get away from hockey. I just want to learn about you more. So we're gonna do some favorites. So I don't want you to think too hard. I'm just gonna
Okay.
ask you. Just jump right in. All right. So favorites. Favorite food.
Oh, I'd have to say chicken.
All right.
You
Any
know,
type
I'm
of chicken
well.
or
You know what? My wife, we cook a lot of chicken here. So I mean, but not broiled, but barbecued is the best. But fried, anything like that is really good. And I probably eat it 5 times a week. Mm.
chicken? I'm into it. I like it. Favorite vacation spot that you've been to?
Uh, my wife's not around here because I mean, everywhere we go, I'm just a boring guy. But we go to Vegas a lot,
Okay.
and the reason we go to Vegas is we love the shows, and and it's never boring. Like I mean, there's a lot of we went to the Bahamas a couple years ago, and I ended up sitting in the room doing nothing because I didn't want to do anything, and which really pissed her off. But I mean. Um, but if we go to Vegas, even when you don't want to do nothing, you can walk around the downstairs in the casinos. It's and people watch, but there's always a good show in Vegas. We like doing that. We like going to New York, and if we get a chance to see a Broadway play, we like doing that as well.
Very cool. Cool to hear that you're a man of the shows. I like that. Some entertainment.
More musicals than the shows. I like. Uh, we saw Beautiful Noise, which is the Neil Diamond show. We've seen that 4 times now, and
That's awesome.
it's coming to Hershey this summer. We'll see it again. We must have seen Mamma Mia 10 times. So I mean, uh, I'm a kind of guy that if I like it, it's like a food. I'll keep eating that same food. I don't try too many different things. I like to go to the things I know.
Sure. You like what you know, a man of routine. I can respect.
Yes. Mm.
Well, let's talk about. Do you have a favorite movie? Something you go back to?
Oh man, you know what? Usually end up watching my wife's favorite movies. We seem to always end up watching like the White House Downs. You know those kind of movies, action flicks.
Yeah.
A lot of Jason Statham stuff
Yeah.
lately. So that kind of stuff, more action. But I mean, obviously, if I don't put Slapshot in there somebody will
A
shoot me.
classic.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. So I mean,
Yeah.
um,
If Bruce doesn't name a hockey movie, people are going to be up in arms.
well,
Like,
I was in Slapshot, so it
that's
was,
right.
yeah. It. I have to use that as one of my favorites
Have to do it. Have to do it. Well, let's get back to hockey. Favorite hockey player of all time? Can you name one?
that I played with or played
Just
or
in,
coached.
just in general, anyone. It could be someone that you watched as a kid. It could be someone current. It could be someone you played with. I know that's a very difficult question, but I have to
It
ask.
is because my best friend's John Anderson, who I played with. Okay, so I mean, always great there. I mean, as far as coaches go, I have the most respect for George, but at the same time, my junior coach was uh, such a help me through life. It was so great. As far as I mean, I'm a good friend. I don't want to name drop, but Wayne Gretzky's been really good to me. And so, I mean, but I tend to think that most of the hockey players that I know, I've met, we've become pretty good friends.
Right.
It's the GMs that have hated me.
Yeah. The GMs, it's always It's like they have an ulterior motive. I think that's no, that's awesome to hear. But I will. So I guess my follow up to that is of guys that you did coach. Do you have a favorite player that of a guy that you did coach?
Oh yeah, you know what, Nicky Backstrom, and not the big names, but Nicky Backstrom, Dave Steckel, Quentin Lang. I think coaches love these worker bees getting there, but Mike Green always will have. These guys will always have a place in my heart. When you win championships with players, whether it's the NHL, AHL, or whatever, they stay with you forever. Those guys were tremendous people. I mean, but I can honestly say every team I've been on, there's been a couple guys that you really would wish you were a player again and could go back and you'd hang out with them if you were the coach. The coaches can't do it, but you always think like Jared Spurgeon in Minnesota. I would love to have been hanging out with him because he was such a good guy and a good player and a good teammate.
Definitely. No, it's cool to hear some of those names and Backstrom and Green and some of those guys that helped change the culture. I feel like, when you were here. So that's really cool to hear. Sticking with hockey, do you have a favorite for a team to win the Stanley Cup this year? If you had to pick someone.
Well, if I have to pick one, I mean, I picked Tampa at the beginning of the year. I think if Vegas ever gets healthy, they might be right there. But I mean, the way Colorado is played, sometimes it's really tough to sustain it.
Sure.
So I don't know if they're going to be able to sustain it. I think once this Olympic break is over, and there's going to be a lot of trades, and we'll see how it goes out. And the last 20 games are going to be really important in the NHL.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely always hard when you get the playoffs and you got to win the series. It's not just a one and done like the NFL that we just watched. So, yep, you got to really be the best team usually. So, last question, Bruce, before I let you get out of here. We always ask everyone that comes on, what is the best piece of advice that you could give someone that was trying to have a successful career, not just in hockey, but really as a coach? If you could give one piece of
As,
advice.
as anything, I'd say never give up, never lose your dream, always believe in yourself, and keep it going. Like, I mean, if those three things I didn't have, I would never have made it because there's always people looking to put you down and to keep you down, and a lot of times it's for selfish reasons. But I mean, if you believe in yourself and you believe you're doing the right thing, you keep going because eventually you get a break and good things will happen to you.
I love it. Well, I appreciate it, Bruce. Appreciate you coming on here and sharing some of the wisdom. It's awesome to have you. It's awesome to have someone from the hockey world, and especially someone that's done so much in their decorated career. So thanks for coming on Breaking Through the Wall.
Mhm.
Everyone else, we'll catch you guys next time.
All right. Thank you.
Absolutely.